Okay, when you hear the words private investigator, let's be honest, you probably picture some mysterious person in a trench coat, right? Hanging out in a dark, rainy alley. But what if I told you the reality is way less about Hollywood drama and a whole lot more about high-tech forensics and really strict legal codes? So let's get into it and uncover the real world of PIs.
Here's what we've got on tap. First, we're going to completely bust that movie myth. Then, we'll look at how these pros have to play by the rules. We're also going to explore their super important role in everything from criminal cases to corporate fraud. And then we'll wrap up by looking at what the future holds for this really fascinating field.
All right, let's kick things off. It's time to separate the Hollywood fantasy from the on-the-ground reality of PI work, specifically in South Africa. You know, the image we all have, the lone wolf PI, kind of bending the rules to get the job done. But the truth, this is a highly specialized profession, and believe me, it's a lot smaller and way more regulated than you'd probably think. Get this, in the whole of South Africa, there are only 546 officially registered private investigators. That's it, 546. So we're not talking about some huge, shadowy network. We're talking about a small, tight-knit community of licensed professionals. And because that community is so small, it's also got to be highly regulated. These men and women are operating under a very strict set of rules. They definitely aren't just making things up as they go along. And the heart of all that regulation is this group, PSIRA. Every single legitimate PI has to be registered with them. They're the government body that lays down the law. And here's something you probably don't know. If you hire an unregistered PI, you, the client, are actually committing a criminal offense. This chart here lays out the bright red lines they absolutely cannot cross. See, PIs have zero police powers. They can't arrest people, they can't illegally hack into your stuff, and they can't trespass. And the reason for that is simple. Any evidence they get illegally is totally useless in court. Their entire career, their entire reputation depends on staying within these lines. Okay, so if they aren't rogue detectives kicking down doors, what do they actually do? Well, this is where their work gets incredibly diverse, and they play a massive role in both criminal and civil justice.
So in criminal cases, a PI doesn't replace the police. Not at all. Think of them more like a specialized support system. They might get hired to dig up extra evidence, find witnesses, or just bring in resources that help the official investigation, all while staying completely within the law.
And their role in civil cases is just as critical. We're talking about disputes between people or companies here, not crimes against the state. So, for example, a PI might be out there gathering evidence for a personal injury claim, or uncovering the facts in a messy contract dispute, or even just verifying the details for an insurance payout. Their work is absolutely essential for getting these everyday conflicts sorted out. Now, let's switch gears and talk about the corporate world, because this is an area where the modern PI has become an absolutely indispensable asset. They're protecting businesses from threats inside the company and from all those growing digital dangers out there. In the business world, these investigators are really on the front lines, fighting things like fraud, theft, and corruption. They follow a very methodical process. First, they spot some kind of suspicious activity. Then they do a super deep forensic analysis of the data. And finally, they package all their findings so the company can take action, whether that's firing someone or pressing charges. And when these crimes go digital, well, that requires a completely different level of skill. This is not a job for your company's standard IT help desk. This quote right here just hits the nail on the head. Digital forensics is a whole different ballgame.
I mean, we're talking about experts who can pull evidence off a smashed hard drive, trace stolen money through a maze of cryptocurrency transactions, or analyze cloud data to figure out how a data breach even happened. This, right here, is the real cutting edge of investigation. So, where does the industry go from here? For our final section, let's take a look at the big hurdles it's facing and, how it's evolving to meet the future. The single biggest threat to the reputation of legitimate PIs is, well, it's the phonies. It's these rogue operators, the unregistered people who promise to do illegal stuff, take people's money, and end up damaging the public's trust in the whole profession. And this slide tells you exactly why those rogue operators can even exist. A pretty staggering 62% of households have no idea that PIs are even supposed to be registered with PSIRA. That lack of awareness is what creates a market for these unqualified and frankly illegal operators to thrive in. And what makes the problem even worse is a major gap in enforcement. I mean, just look at this. Key law enforcement units like the Hawks, the ones who go after complex financial crimes, are operating at less than half of the staff they need. That huge gap puts even more pressure on the private sector to fill the void, which makes professional regulation more critical than ever before. But the industry isn't just sitting around. The way forward is all about evolution. This means pushing for higher accredited training standards to really professionalize the field, and it also means embracing powerful new tech like AI-powered data analysis to help sort through mountains of digital evidence way more effectively. So let's just end with this thought. As our world gets more and more complex, and that line between what's real and what's fake gets blurrier every day, the need for a professional, ethical, and highly trained investigator has probably never been greater. The trench coat might be a thing of the past, but that search for truth, well, that's more important than ever.